Hey everyone out there in home brewing land, this is Dr. David Mers. You've seen him on Teen Mom OG, and you have knowledge of, I gotta show this, I gotta zoom in. Look at that, it's a Bonnable Snow Monster. Don't you love it? This is David's first place award for his home brew, and David's gonna tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it was a brew that's called Tropical Stout. It was originally destined for the Indian subcontinent, and it's nice and sweet, but it's a lager.
Sounds delicious.
It's not a stout ale. It's a lager.
So it's deep and rich.
Yeah, very sweet.
Very much like what Debra likes.
Yeah, it's not very hoppy.
Now, how did you know how to make that?
Well, I read a lot about how to make beer.
Is there a book that you would recommend?
No, you have to use multiple books, honestly.
Yeah.
It really comes from experience. Talking with people.
You just got back from judging a beer contest, right?
Yeah, last weekend, yes, we had the Minnesota Mash Out up in St. Paul, Minnesota.
Yeah.
Held at the Summit Brewery.
Was it fun?
It was very much fun. There were 1,000, well, no, not quite 1,000. 950 different brews too.
Wow,
judge.
So people from all over the United States came.
Yeah, and a lot of real expert judges were there.
And big deal fun, right? Lots of fun.
Yeah, a lot of drinking.
So let me ask you something, I think, as a judge. Do you ever feel yourself getting tipsy from having to taste all that home brew?
No, I've learned not to do that. When you have to taste the really strong beers, you don't drink very much of it. You have to learn that.
You kind of switch it around and spit it out?
No, not really. You just take little sips. You don't have to guzzle a glass.
Okay. Well, tell us about, you got one more award there too, right? You won 2 categories. So
no, I took a 3rd place in a farmhouse style called Saison, which was done just recently. That's sort of exciting because it's sort of a beer style I've been working on a lot to try and get cleaned up, and that one scored fairly well. I also scored fairly well with a traditional Danish beer called Kuit, and I didn't get a medal for that, but I scored very, very high. And it's a beer made with pretty much 50% oats and wheat and very little barley.
So do you have any tips or recommendations for a home brewer that's never been to a brewing competition that might like to put in their beer or their home brew?
I think it's best if they go and judge, actually, before they enter. Otherwise, they're going to be disappointed. Most of the time when people go into a competition, they get a little bit peeved with the scores they get because they haven't had enough experience. Unfortunately, in our country, well, it's better now than it used to be, but we've had a paucity of beers when people just drink the light lagers, the Budweisers and stuff like that. They don't really have the experience of seeing a lot of different styles, and unfortunately, the professional brewers tend to make mostly IPAs because that's very fashionable. But if you're making something other than that, you have to experience it. You have to drink some to know what you're working towards. And that's where getting a competition probably is premature. If you go judge, you can learn a lot from the judges about beer styles because you're going to taste some bad ones and some good ones, hopefully. And then you can know what to shoot for.
And you need to read the recipes, right?
Yeah, and then you have a better chance of scoring well.
Good.
And then you're happier. You're much happier. If you get I've been around this for a while now, 15 years, and I've been judging, and people who get a bad score, they just don't want to do it anymore. They don't want to enter competitions, and then they don't make better beer. They don't learn from the judging how they can get a better beer, what it's really supposed to taste like.
Well, that's a good word. Thank you. I appreciate
You're welcome.
that.
Yeah.
And just so you know, David and I have been working on putting in a new wine and tasting room down here. And some of his home brewed, I guess homemade wine, we've just put into the wine rack. And we are really excited. We've got a tasting area here, and we're going to put up the really beautiful bottles of the big, like, magnums and whatnot on this zebra wood shelf. And then we got a place to put glasses. And then up above, that black stave is off of a red wine barrel. And basically what you do is you can write on there with chalk. So we can put up across the top all the different kinds of wine or beer that we're going to have in our little tasting area. So when people come on over, we can entertain. And you notice I painted the walls black, and the walls are black to represent a cave. Here we go, I'm in the front now. And the reason I painted the walls black and I'm painting the floor black, once we get the lights in here, we're going to have lights in between here to light up the glasses, to light up the wines, to light up the beers, is so that people can feel the elegance and feel like they're in a cave, like in Napa Valley. So anyway, hi, have a great weekend, Super Bowl Sunday.